You're up and running though.
I think
Tomorrow,
so.
tomorrow I get to leave early because I got to drive Joe home.
What are you gonna drive him home for?
He doesn't. He won't have his car to be able to drive home because he guess he's leaving it for his daughter. I don't
Oh,
know what it is with the Bensons and cars. It is like the weirdest shit.
they love
Like
their
I don't get it.
they love their cars. All right, we're live. So this is the Arty 84 show live, episode 212. As always, I'm the mallet to the left of me with this invisible bottle of drinks. Tonight, for the first time, and I think in a long time, if ever, we are live on Facebook Live,
All
which
right.
we always are. We are also
Yeah.
live on YouTube Live, but
Okay.
we don't have your face on there because we don't have the stream with like the black green screen and like your half to half because I don't have a TriCaster, so which allows you to broadcast on multiple platforms at the same time.
Gotcha.
So YouTube, you are watching me behind a green screen, not the screen that Facebook sees, but you can hear Adam.
I'm like the voice in your head.
Right. And on Instagram, you're just watching the studio's cam. So you're watching me and you're picking up a little bit of Adam on the headphones. So
Why
we're
is that though? Because I've seen some YouTube shows stream live, and there's like a box of the person in the little corner that will just pop in when they
yeah.
talk.
I mean, I could do that.
Yeah.
But you would have to actually be on YouTube. There used to be this thing a long time ago called YouTube Live where you could do that and you could log in. It was based on a Google thing. It was called like Google like Hangout or something like that. And then when Google took over YouTube, they got rid of it. But I could easily have this broadcast on YouTube, and we have a bigger audience on Facebook. So I'd rather have the good production on Facebook with the
Gotcha.
8K possible people watching rather than the couple hundred people watching on YouTube. So I'll take the numbers. And then, of course, Instagram, how you doing? If you want to watch the show live on the full show, just go to the link in our profile, and I'll take you right to the Facebook page. But, of course, we got a lot to talk about. We were supposed to have Marie in Korea, a friend of the show who's been on very times. She came on when she was in Korea, and she came on when she was in Thailand to talk about her adventures. She's actually currently she was in Colombia. Now she's in the Galapagos Islands, I believe. And she was supposed to join us tonight and tell us about her adventures, but she had broken her leg. And I was talking to her last night. She's okay. She's fine. She's still down in South America. She broke her leg on a ladder that she fell off of looking into a vacant volcano.
That is one hell of a. I mean, you can't make that shit up.
No.
That's just like the kind of thing that it happens, and it's like
that story is almost like a guy from a
funny,
band slept on my floor and I paid for his dental work because they were so poor. Never heard that story.
Jimmy Eat World is like the only kind of quote unquote emo band that I like.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Eat World.
I didn't know they were on that. Well, have been around that long. I look back; they've been around since like the early '90s, and the guy's only the group's only about 10 years older than us, so they probably started in high school. So,
yeah.
But yeah. So Maria will be joining us at another date when she gets better. So she was in the hospital, I think, when I was talking to her, and I feel bad because it's going to be very lucratively expensive probably to get your leg fixed in a foreign country in which you don't have insurance for. So
unless you're in Canada, then you luck out because you get free healthcare.
Yeah, but does that apply to like people visiting? I don't think it does it?
That's true. That's good.
Yeah,
it must. I mean, it must. I don't know.
Maybe not. Well, if there's any Canadians watching, please let us know. If I, as an American, broke my leg in Canada, would I get it covered? Probably. I would think not, but who knows? The Canadians are very friendly people. Well,
they are. The government's not.
The government's very unfriendly, but the people are. I love Canadian people. They're great people. They're at least threatening people I ever had an encounter with. But they're, when you have Castro's son in charge, allegedly, of the country, I can understand why it's a little dictatory up there lately. So it makes sense. He does have nice hair though, for a middle-aged man.
I've noticed as I've gotten older, I do that. Like I'll check out guys, but not like that. Like I'll be like, wow, he's got a great head of hair.
Yeah. Sometimes it's an admirable thing to an older man that has like good hair. One of my old bosses, he's like in his 50s, had very good hair for his age, and I was like very impressed. It's like, wow, some good hair. Like my hair's not bad if I grow it out, but the hairline obviously has receded a bit, and the grays do appear momentarily in certain areas. But I think I'd rather have the gray hairs than go completely bald.
Exactly, you can change the grays really easily.
Fortunately, I think you may become fully bald at some point of your life.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen. But you know what? I feel like if I can make it to like 45, 50,
yeah,
I've won. It's gonna happen to all of us.
Yeah, and it may not be that bad though. You may have like Joe at work's kind of a little comb over kind of thing, you know, a little.
The way it's happening is fine. Like this is better than like the circle in the middle. You know how some
people
get,
that,
the island.
The island
the way
is
it's going.
It's not too bad. Yeah, I mean for your age, I mean you're pushing 50. I mean,
my age, I'm barely a year older than you, so it's not.
That's what she said.
But,
yeah, I mean it's a natural process of life. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You can hold on. I can't see you going full bald. Like I can't see you like shaving your head. You'd look like you're probably like could be a problem if you shaved your head all the way. I think.
Well, I know you have like the thinning going on at the top.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But like me, it's weird. I don't know if this happens to you, but I've noticed that like it grows still normal speed in certain areas and slower in others.
Yeah.
The proportion of how fast it grows in areas has changed.
Right.
It's really weird.
Yeah, and it's like really nothing you can do about it, right? At this point of your life, you kind of just
gotta kind of admit defeat, you know.
Yeah.
But you can wear a cap. You can pull off a cap. I can't.
Yeah.
I look like an overgrown 12-year-old.
I can't do a baseball cap very well. That's why I wear like a skelly cap. The baseball cap, I have to. You probably see my process when I buy like a brand new like crisp like hat like the rappers would wear just right out of the package. I actually cut the crown out on the back of a baseball cap. I don't have one to describe, but there's like a hard plastic mesh that goes around the crown to keep it sturdy. I actually take a razor blade and I cut all that plastic mesh out and I pull it out. So it's just basically my head in the wool. And then what I do is I go in the shower with my hat on and I get it wet and then I let it form to my head. So the crown actually sinks down a bit and the hat kind of shrinks to the side. So I usually get like an eighth of an inch bigger than what my regular size is. So I think I'm like a 7. I think I'm like a 7 1/4. I'll get like a 7 5/8 or something like that.
Damn, you got like a process, huh? Like,
yeah, no. What am I? I'm a 7 3/8. I'll get a 7 1/2. And that's why I always wear a Red Sox hat when I have it. It's the same Red Sox hat. I was going on this thing where I would never replace my Red Sox hat until they won the World Series. So every few years I was getting a new one and I'd retire the other one. But I made the mistake once. I took the hat to the beach and I went into the ocean and I swam with it on, which is fine. But I took the hat off. And instead of shrinking to the size of my head, it just kept on shrinking. So now it's fucking tighter than a fucking nun's asshole. So it's a little bit more difficult to put on. So I do need a new hat because this hat gets a little warm down in Florida. But look at me. I'm wearing a fucking Celtics t-shirt and a Scully hat. If I showed down in Florida, look at this guy.
I actually did wear. I wore a Scully cap for like 4 years straight. I have a Scully cap.
Yeah, they're nice. They keep your head warm. They just don't protect your ears, but they keep the head warm. You know?
No, it does take like a little bit of life expectancy off your hair follicles though, because you're suffocating.
Right, yeah,
that's the only trade-off.
Like my grandmother used to tell me, she's like, "Why are you wearing hats?" Every time I go down to Florida, why you wear a hat? You're gonna go bald. I'm like, you're full of shit. And then I'm like, I guess maybe she's right. Wearing hats make you go bald.
They'll suffocate follicles.
So I want to go on my first rant of the night.
Let's do this. What do we got? What's on your mind?
The guy who runs the Reddit room for Boston is a cocksucker. I'm just gonna put it out there right now.
Okay, wait. Before you go there, let me say something about Reddit. Reddit, I've said a million times, because it'd be your best friend or your worst friend.
Right.
Like it really is. Right?
I just got on Reddit 3 days ago for the first time ever.
Really? Yeah. You can. Reddit can be great, but you got to tread lightly. You gotta be careful. So what happened?
So I got on Reddit because I'm trying to expand the YouTube channels, right? So I figured this is a good avenue because we use the Facebook groups is the biggest. We pull a lot of our audience by throwing the links on Facebook, different groups like comedian groups, podcast groups, stuff like that. People that and that circulates. And I feel when I look at the statistics and the analytics on YouTube, we get a lot of people coming from Facebook, which is good. And then, I wanted to do some more research, and I was like, where are other places you can get people from traffic more naturally? And Reddit was, top 5. We do Instagram, obviously we post stuff on there. Hello, Instagram again. And so I went on Reddit. So I started going on these different groups, and I was like, all right. So I started, liking the. I don't know how to even. I don't even know the nomenclature. What they fucking call them? Like the groups. They just call groups on Reddit.
Yeah, hashtags. You have a monitor, someone who's moderating.
Okay, so you can go and pick the group you want to join, right? So like I picked Boston, Massachusetts group and stuff like this and stuff.
I think I know what happened.
Comedian group. So I reshared our show from last week with Elon Altman, friend of the show now. A Jewish comedian from New York who I met 5 years ago at a wedding. And I just said, hey, Boston, this guy's going to be in town in Boston in a few weeks. He was a guest on our show. I want to help it out if you guys are interested and listen to the show. And it was fine. It went through, no problem.
Can I guess what happened? Can I guess?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Did you get kicked for spamming?
No. Well, yes and no. Okay, so the first one went through, no problem at all, right? And then the next day, I go, okay, so I'm like, if I do a promo a day, it's not a bad thing. So, Will Noonan, who's a friend of the show, who's a comedian who's been on the show not this particular show, but a show with us several times before, has a new movie out called The Salesman. It's coming out, right? It's on Netflix. You go watch it, right? A couple other Boston comedians. And I went back to the archives to an old Arty and Eric show back in the day that he was on, and I go, hey, I know you guys Boston fans, probably a big fan of Will Noonan, Boston grown guy here. He's a new movie coming out. Check it out on Netflix. This is a little bit of him before he became famous and forgot about his friends. And I put on a kind of a joking thing because we're comedians and this is what we do. And then all of a sudden I get a flag sent to my messages on Reddit, right? I go, what the fuck's this? So I responded back. I go, hey, I don't know what the problem is. I go, this is Boston material. It's a Boston comic, a movie that takes place in Boston, that was filmed in Boston, about Boston, with Boston comedians. And we're a Boston podcast. I go, I hit 7 things about Boston right now. I go, what? I go, what's the problem? And the guy literally sends this 9-paragraph fucking rant angrily, right? And then he blocks me and then blocks everything. I go, what a pussy. He doesn't even give me the chance to respond, first of all. And then second of all, blocks me. So I go, all right, I'm just going to use my avenue here on the YouTube and the Facebook to say this guy, whoever the moderator of the Boston, it's just the Boston /Boston on Reddit, you are a pussy. Because, I don't know what we did to piss you off. And I don't know, it's like, you give a little bit of power and all of a sudden they go to, I run this 32,000 person page.
I'm the mayor here. I'm the sheriff.
Fuck you.
I can do what I want. Well, here's the thing. This is an example of Reddit being your worst enemy.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Like, you gotta every subreddit, every group, almost like its own different country.
Okay.
Right. Each of them has their own different rules. Right.
Right.
And a lot of the time, too, if they can look at your history, and if you're just constantly putting your links without commenting, because you have the karma points.
Right. Yeah.
Right. If you're not contributing and you're only putting your stuff out there, that's a red flag. You have to contribute. That's the whole part of Reddit.
How do you get a comma? How do you get a comma point? Well, how's that work?
Just even commenting.
Oh yeah, which I do. Yeah, I always go on stuff. Yeah. Liking stuff
anything.
And comment. Yeah.
Yeah, like at least saying something that's like more
engaging.
Like at least contributing.
Right. Right.
So they can look at that and it's like, okay, this person is obviously just a spammer. They're putting their own shit. They only care about them.
Right.
But some are worse than others, and some are more forgiving, and some are more like I've been kicked out for much less than what you just said.
Oh, I believe it.
Fucking assholes, But at the same time, there are people that are like, all right, like don't do that again, or like, hey, or you can explain. Some people are nicer than the person you just talked about. Who'll be like, listen, can you please just do this and whatever? Like, okay, I understand.
And I get the same problem in the Facebook groups too. I mean, so we have a Facebook page. Or a Facebook account that's neither of our account. It's a third-party account that I set up that belongs to groups, and which we go and we share material on, which is relevant to a group. It's either comedians groups, it's either podcast groups, it's either talent groups, it's stuff of that nature. You know what I mean? When we talk about a specific subject, like for example, when I'll give you a random one. When Kansas City Chiefs were in the Super Bowl a few years back, and we had a whole segment on Kansas City, I'd share a thing on there, and Patriot stuff. Anytime it's topical, I put it on there. It's not just like random shit. It's not like I'm putting like on like a women's rights group talking about me having a shitting issue, which had no relevance whatsoever. Right? It has a little bit of. I like to pick and choose my relevance. But then you get these people who run these groups and they think it's like the almighty fucking land of the Lord. Like they're running a fucking mini country somewhere. It's like, commie shit. No one really gives a fuck. And
it's true. At some point I get it, because you do want to run a room where like you can't have everybody just posting just shit.
That's true.
Constantly.
Right. And it just could be a big shit fuck. And I get that sometimes.
People just throwing things in there with not commenting. No one's gonna read it because everybody's just throwing their shit in there.
Right. Yeah. Which leads me to another fucking point. So everyone knows I do this segment on the Wicked Explorers page that I've been doing for years, the roast beef review, right? So I go and eat a roast beef sandwich, and I'll do a review. It's kind of like a tribute to Dave Portnoy's One Slice, right? The pizza thing he does, right? And he goes around the country and eats pizza, and he talks about it. So I thought to be funny to keep it relevant to the North Shore, which we're from, and do the roast beef sandwich that is very famous for the North Shore, the North Shore roast beef. So I get a lot of hits when I post this stuff, which is nice because I do a lot of sharing. I do the legwork. And there's this one group. It's called like North Shore Beefs, I believe, on Facebook. And most of the people are cool, but the people who run the room or have anything to do with them are a bunch of D-bags. And the reason is it's just like what they do is just troll like after you post like. And the best way to get back at someone trolling is when you look at their videos and they have like 5 views, and you just like share the link of yours that has over a couple thousand, and you just be like, oh man, like this one guy, I'm not gonna say his name, but he had like a man bun. So he said some shit about me having a skeleton. First of all, I looked into his profile. It was actually 2 guys. One guy looked into his profile. He wasn't even from New England. He was from Montreal. He had all these pictures, like the stock. He had pictures of him wearing a Montreal Canadiens jersey. And he goes, figures the guy with a scully cap and a Celtics shirt talking about roast beefs in the North Shore. What a loser. And I go, whoa. I go, that everyone in the North Shore pretty much was a scully cap, and they like the Celtics. I go, and then I looked into his profile. I go, bro, you're wearing a Canadiens jersey. I go, talk about a douchebag. And then this other guy.
It's gonna keep happening, and it's not gonna stop.
No, I think it's funny. I don't really give a fuck. I
still get them. I haven't posted anything since October.
Right.
I still get a bevy of messages constantly, and it's like I read them, and it's like I've had so many. I would say 85 to 90% are positive.
Right.
And then like 10% that are just fucking trash. I think I walk over to you in the office sometimes. I have.
Yeah.
Like,
like an asshole. Yeah.
And it's just after a while, it's just like. When I go out of my way, you kind of feel sorry. Like I went past the angry phase. There was a little fucking asshole. Hold the fucking seat.
Right.
And then after a while, it's like, whatever. Like if you're gonna spend this much fucking time writing out how much you fucking hate me,
right.
And like you're worse than I am.
No, that's 100% true. Like, I used to be like, I was like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? And then I look and then I go into his email, and I don't usually retaliate. I usually just fucking ignore it, whatever. And you figure half the time I don't even look after I post. I just let it go, let it roll. And I just give it, and usually, like you said, it's mostly like, especially on YouTube, it's usually mostly positive, 90% likes, whatever. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But this particular guy had a man bun. And then I just went through for curiosity, I went to his profile and I just looked at all his comments on like certain things. And he just like bashes all these other places. So I'm like, this guy has a reason why he's doing this. So I dug even deeper. So apparently he has a YouTube page who's trying to do what I was doing, and it failed miserably. And he doesn't, and it looks like anyone who has any success on sharing stuff and getting like views and stuff like this, he's very angry against because
he's doing it with the sense. I know the type. He's the kind of guy who thinks he's going to make a ton of money on YouTube.
Right.
That's the kind, and failed. Right. As opposed to doing it for a hobby.
Yeah.
Seeing where it goes.
So you go to a couple videos and he's got like 10 likes or something like that. But like he's gonna understand that like you just can't put a video up there and expect it to get views. You gotta do a little legwork sometimes. You gotta share it. You gotta like join the right groups. You gotta like
it has to be interesting.
It has to be interesting, right? You have to encourage people to like getting comments. So you have to engage people, right? Because like the algorithm works on YouTube. If you don't know, there's a lot of comments, a lot of like even negative comments doesn't matter. It's comments and likes and views. Those are the algorithms. So most people do that.
Yeah, nobody knows how.
No one knows how it works. There's just one little guy who works at Google who knows how this whole entire thing works, and he won't share his secret with anyone because it's like unbelievable where some people blow up. Like we can compare a lot of our videos. Some of our videos have like thousands of views and comments, and then some of them have nothing. We'll post them within the same week, but they don't appear the same way. So it's like
I think my James Bond video is over. It's almost 30K. If
that's
not
crazy,
30K.
Right?
I don't know how.
Yeah, like I have
it hit around the time Sean Connery died, and then it just kept going.
Right. And because it just probably picks up on people's algorithm. Like I have this one Dead Mall video that I did in Brockton that I posted January of 2020. And it has like fucking like 9,000 views. but like I don't understand why. Like I've shared it a few times in like in groups on Facebook, like Brockton groups and Dead Mall groups, and just to try to wrap up some conversation. And a lot of times it's successful. Like I figure most of the people that comment are actually are actually pretty constructive. But then there's some people that like comment that have absolutely no constructivity whatsoever with it, and it's just like, bro, what the fuck you doing, man?
I've wondered if YouTube every once in a while will like purposely like throw you a bone, like they purposely elevate your video to make you feel like you're actually getting ground to keep you invested.
Could be
that way, like, wait a minute, and then that's why it keeps going downwards, and then like, they'll elevate another video. I don't know.
Could be. It's weird because like remember like back, so we got on I've been on YouTube for years, right? But never really, like I probably got on. My earliest account is probably 2011, maybe 2010ish, and I didn't really post anything. I just kind of threw shit up there and but I didn't have the attention that you could make money or you can be monetized or stuff like this because I didn't know they even existed at that point. And I was never into I mean, we and you were a little too old to be part of that whole Instagram, YouTube phase where people start getting famous for this stuff. Like, I think we're already in adulthood when this stuff started happening. So we never really followed it much. And then I started like in like 2015, 16, I started getting into these YouTubers. Remember we talked to the kid from Bright Sun Films and stuff. And
yeah, I remember. I tracked him down.
I
was so excited about that. The Canadian kid.
Yeah. And then we talked to him, and then like I started getting into like the people I follow, like the Adam DeWoo and stuff like that. But yeah, it's this is what the fuck's his name? I forget. It's off the top of my head.
I want to say it's like Jake.
Jake, yes, it's Jake. Yes,
something like that. Yeah,
Jake from Bright Sun Films.
Yes.
Who's, if you want to go way back and see the archive, joined us on the radio show in beginning of 2016. So he was a good interview. Now he's blown up. He's his fucking account. We got him right in the beginning of his fame. He's Canadian. But but if you look at these people like Adam DeWoo and all these fucking people, like the Nomadic Fanatic, the guy I'm obsessed with, they started like 2009, 2008 when the monetizing was a lot less lenient. Like you needed less they were like grandfathered in. They didn't need X amount of subscribers and stuff like this. But I mean, I even look at the statistics on some of my YouTube videos, and like only like a small percentage of subscribers that watch currently. They're mostly outsiders, which I think is very odd. But especially if you're a repeat visit, like why don't you subscribe? Do people don't know how to subscribe? I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird thing. Maybe they want it that way.
It could also be like a data sharing fear issue too. Maybe.
Could be. Yeah. Who knows? No one will fucking ever know.
Just bookmark your page also.
You could. Right. And you just come back to it all the time. Yeah, it's as easy as that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I use the YouTube app on our TV, so like we can watch through that stuff. So when you're doing that, it's a lot harder to subscribe, right? It's a lot harder to comment. You can't comment at all, actually. To subscribe takes a few extra steps, so people probably wouldn't want to do that. And even when I do like find a video that was randomly given to me, I'll go on my phone and I'll track it down that way because it's a lot easier than scrolling through the interface on the TV because it's a fucking pain in the ass. You know what I mean? To like, I don't know.
Or it could just be we're underestimating. I mean, there really is a lot of fucking people on this planet.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody was looking for something. They found it. They watched a video and they were gone. It's just that it's never going to match because the amount of people who just want to watch one particular video is going to outnumber subscribers.
Yeah, and those are probably people who want like you and I, who like we have a few people we watch, so we constantly just keep up on the tabs, right? But like then all of a sudden, remember like you like over the I know when we were on shutdown stuff where we spent a lot of time at home, I was getting a lot of like
the rabbit holes.
Right.
You and I will do it. We'll sit there and watch rabbit holes. We won't subscribe to these people. That's probably what's happening to us or anybody else. Like these people going down rabbit holes that lead to videos, or you fall asleep. And it
plays all night long. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've woken up to some of the fucking craziest shit. I'm sure you have too. Like you've just and like my wife would be like, I woke up in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there's a guy who was making he was growing potatoes in his own shit on TV. Like, what the fuck are you watching? I go, I have no idea. I was watching some guy who built a cabin in the woods, and the algorithm sent me to a guy who was growing potatoes in his own shit. I'm like, I don't know.
I watched a video once. I usually watch a lot of alien UFO documentaries. Like, I was watching one fell asleep,
Yep.
woke up 3 hours later, and somehow I'm on a video about someone complaining about like how people poison animals and like people need to be careful of their pets. I'm like, how did we get from A to B?
You just don't know.
How do we go from here to here?
Anything is possible. It's fucking crazy. So. Yeah, so that's how that works. So we'll never figure it out. You would have to get into YouTube prior to 2010 in order to be like pretty blown up right now. And I don't know. It's like we're on Rumble as well, so you can get us on the Rumble, which is like it was based in Canada, and it's like supposed to be the new up and coming YouTube. But every year there's another company that does this. But this one has been picking up speed because Joe Rogan's on it, and Crowder's on it and stuff. So it's supposed to be like the more progressive, like less restrictive YouTube that doesn't have anything to do with Silicon Valley and all the restrictions and all the fucking political science that goes involved of all this shit. That whether you believe it or not, it's there and it is what it is. What are you gonna do about it? There's nothing you can do about it. So,
Speaking of YouTube, though, you know who I thought about emailing the other day just to see how he's doing? Remember that Skippy guy who I helped with his account?
Dude, I was literally on his page 2 days ago. That's
really?
Funny that you said that. Yes.
I get his alerts, and some of them kind of look depressing, so I don't click.
Well, I was doing some research, and so I threw him up for the hell of it on Social Blade to see basically what the hell, because I know you had helped him to try to get his account going and all this stuff. So I went on Social Blade and I looked at him. So I clicked on his account, and talk about a guy who peaked in his.
Really?
I mean, if you look at the statistics, it doesn't. I don't know if he's putting up like what. Remember, he was on the show with us, so you can look it back. Just look at the Arty 84 show with what's his name? I Am Skippy.
I Am Skippy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's big in
And he did a lot of interviews. He was like a guy who would go and interview people, right? He was basically kind of like that, kind of like the guy we had from Canada. Remember the weather guy from Canada? What the hell was his name? We had him a couple months ago.
But like this was like his major source of income. That's the thing. Like this was his thing. YouTube is his thing.
Yeah, but he wasn't making any money off it, so you helped him.
Yeah, he wasn't. But like, it could have been. Yeah.
Could have been. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of rants in his bedroom. I've noticed. I've looked at the last like few videos he posted.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of like, hey, I'm here in my bedroom, and it's like, so it's kind of, it's weird because I think the YouTube way of like interviewing, like doing the self blogs, like, hey, today I'm going to the store and stuff like this was kind of cool when it first came out because no one really had a way to communicate with people. I think people was interested, like, oh, I'm going to go to the store today and do this, and I feel like YouTube requires a lot more production now these days. You can't just have like some guy talking because no one's going to be interested in it, right?
You can if it's with somebody interesting. Here's the thing.
Well, yeah, like with someone interesting.
I feel like the problem is now COVID and isolation kind of ruined it all because these celebrities aren't out, right?
Yeah.
So these people like Skippy who would just walk up to them and didn't give a fuck and would talk now can't because even now celebrities really still aren't really going out that much.
Right.
So it's kind of taking that down a peg.
And also, I think it also opened up the doors to everyone thinks they can podcast and do shows. Like, for example, I'm driving home today and I'm listening to the radio and Hope Solo, the goalie from the women's hockey team, has a podcast now.
Haven't heard that name in a while. Yeah.
So, and she's a brand new on iHeartRadio, and she talks about she interviews people, and I'm like to myself, I'm like, all right, first of all, cool, but you're really late to the game. So, like, what's your interview going to be different than like the other girl who plays soccer's interview going to be like? You know what I mean? And so I feel like now it's just like a revenue stream, like that. People like they think people like. I would really like to see statistics on these iHeartRadio podcasts. I don't think they're doing very well, to be honest with you.
Danica Patrick's on there. She looks like hotter than ever. Still,
she's a good piece of ass. That just proves that Aaron Rodgers is a little.
Gonna say there's a lot of set up the gay trail.
Aaron Rodgers is a little. I mean, because you had this hot piece of ass who's a badass race car driver she was like 5'2", sexy, and like probably can drink like a sailor, can hang out. She hangs out with the boys. I seen her like in a NASCAR race. Someone cut her off and hit her. She came running out of her car ready to fucking knock some guy out. Like, that's a cool broad right there. And Aaron Rodgers had that in the palm of his hands. And then.
What's weird about her though is she kind of does have like she's hot, but she also has like kind of a like manly shoulders. It's probably from holding the steering wheel.
Probably,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not kidding.
You're right.
No, I'm serious. Like
shifting.
She has like this build, but she's still hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
I wouldn't throw her out of bed unless she was better on the floor.
Definitely not.
So, yeah. So Aaron Rodgers, another blunder of you're mad at me. The guy's just throwing hot chicks out the window. Like there's no one. Like no one's. You would think he was slaying all these hot broads, but he's duller than a piece of toast.
Yeah, they probably just hang out and watch like Netflix.
Right. Like if imagine he had a podcast, how boring it would be.
Actually, his
Aaron
mouth
Rodgers
is so horrible. It might be actually kind of interesting.
You think so? Yeah.
We probably hate him even more though, because
probably.
Really stupid.
He just makes himself hateable, and like I don't know how he does. Like he's a good quarterback, and like I could get on board of the Green Bay Packers when they're in the playoffs, and I get on board when I don't think of Aaron Rodgers. When I think of him, and I just get turned off.
Yeah, he's a stats guy. Like he's a guy who's going to pull up a good stats, but he's not going to be a winner.
Yeah,
he's not a team player. The team players don't.
It's only a matter.
You got to be a team player. You know?
Only a matter of time too. He has a podcast, I guess. But like all these people just get podcasts. I'm just like, you're just giving podcasts to anyone. And I think that's the thing. Like, so I was watching the show. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Bravo. It's called Summer House. So it takes all these. It's a show of like, it's picture Jersey Shore family vacation, and they pick these like richie people who live in New York, and they go to the Hamptons and live, right? So there's this chick who was on it. I think it was last season, and her title is a professional podcaster. I don't even. Her name is so irrelevant. I don't remember at this time, but she does a podcast, and of course, iHeart picks her up because she's on this TV show. We could double. It's a thing like that. She's on a TV show. She's gonna get listeners from people who watch the TV show want to know it. But the podcast it's dull. It's very. And I'll give a podcast a chance. You know me. I love my podcast. In fact, I'm like I have a 13-day road trip coming up, so I'm bottling up podcasts. I'm trying not to listen to too many of them, so I have some inventory when I go on this trip, so I can kill some time when I'm driving. And so I'm exploring some new avenues. So I'm like dabbling into some new things I haven't really experienced to see if I like it, and then I could kind of bookmark it and save it, and maybe binge watch it or listen to it rather. And so like this girl was on the show. I'm like listening to her podcast, and I'm like, it's just like it's a bunch of broads sitting at lunch in high school, just chit chatting. And it's just like, well, there's no point to the podcast. It's like, I mean, you and I just rant. We have guests on usually, but we just rant about shit. But it's like we try to make it funny, at least. I don't know.
Some people maybe.
Some people think we're funny. So someone thinks we're funny. My mom's thinking.
You know what it is?
Funny.
You know why people will watch that? Because it's a bunch of dirty old guys out there who will try to listen to schoolgirls.
Right. It's like the people. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's just a bunch of pervs who think they have a chance. Like it's funny. The bar I work at, right? There's like I'm the only guy bartender. Well, there's another guy now, but at the time it was just me and this girl. And these dudes would come in on nights that she worked just to sit at the bar. And like when they came in and she wasn't working and I was working, they would stay for a drink and leave. And they were just like, and they know she has a boyfriend. They know she's not available. She's not very flirtatious. She's kind of a little cold when it comes to the situation. So she's like, and I go to her, I'm like, how do you feel like these guys only come in just to think they have a chance with you? And she like laughs. She's like, it's funny because it's like they think they have a chance, but they don't. And I go, yeah, it's funny because like if I'm working, they'll come in. It's like disappointment. Like they just ruin their day. And like I make it very, very obvious that I'm ruining the day, and I really rub the salt into the wound. And it's like I actually like it. I think it's funny. Like
it's funny, but at the same time, we've all been that guy. We've at some point now we all been that guy who was suckered into thinking we had a chance with the girl that we didn't. Let's admit it. I have. We all have.
Chicago.
That guy.
I'll tell you. I'll fucking tell you a story right now. I was out in fucking Chicago for Chicago's Cubs versus Red Sox game, many, many, many moons ago. We're talking a decade ago, right? If not more. And I am at the game, and so before the game. So the game was at 4, right? I get down to Wrigleyville at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I start bar hopping because I had a tour of Wrigley Field around like 2 o'clock. So I figured I'd go down there, have a few drinks, have lunch, go do the tour of Wrigley, come back pregame, go back to the game, watch the Sox and Cubs, and then, do what I got to do. So I ended up at this bar, and this girl was working there, and stupid me fell for it. And every guy does. She works for tips. Yeah, I just fuck me, right? So to the point where I got through it, and like I really was convinced that this girl was like interested, right? And like, look at fucking. I thought for a second that my Bostonian charm and my accent and my persona, right, was just that much more interesting than anyone else in the bar, and I really had a butt boobs. And boy, was I incorrect, because to the fact that I went back after the game and she was still working. I'm like, oh, I'm back. Yeah, because there was really nowhere to go. I really had nothing to explore. I was primarily in Chicago for that game, and that was it. I was flying home the next day. I literally flew in Friday night, went to the game Saturday, and flew home Sunday. That was it. And I forced myself to stay there till last call. I was falling asleep at the fucking bar. I've never fallen asleep at a bar before. And so I fell asleep. I was being woken up by people to the point where I was so embarrassed and I had to leave. And I did the whole transaction with the number, the account. Yeah. What are you doing tomorrow? Yeah. And unfortunately, I had the same incident with a stripper at a strip club in St. Petersburg, Florida, a couple of years prior to that, where I did the same.
How old are you though when that happened?
Oh God, I was probably early 20s.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, all this went down in my early 20s. Like I wasn't.
Oh yeah.
If I could go back into a time machine, right, and talk to early 20s Arty, I would have a lot of information to give him and lead him into the right directions, because every guy does that, right? Every guy is guilty of it. And you could talk to a guy right now and be, no, she was really into me. We have a friend who really thinks that people, like our buddy Eric, will really be convinced to this day that a girl that he was talking to, he would never ever admit that he fell for the trap. He would be dead on, and I have tell stories about him all the time, and we talk about places where we're together in the same room, and he's so hard on convinced that this was not a fallacy. And I go, bro, she works for tips. Like, yes, I believed it too when I was in the situation, but I take a step back and I look at it.
I do think our shoddy male DNA is susceptible to, that's why I said women are just, I think it's encoded in them. I don't even think some of them realize they're doing it. They have this manipulative thing to get you to do things for them, that you're chasing them forever from adolescence on. It's from middle school on, you are always chasing them. I look back at all the fucking things that I would have accomplished if I wasn't chasing skirt. They're a distraction, but they're a distraction that it's almost like a blessing and a curse. You love looking at women, you love women. Let's say I'm not a woman hater at all. I love women.
Womanizer.
But at the same time, I'm like, God fucking damn it. I think of all the shit that went to the wayside that I could have done if I wasn't distracted by it.
There's an episode of Seinfeld where George stops trying to hit on women, and he becomes 20% smarter. He starts reading books, and becomes he just took sex out of the equation altogether, and he becomes that much more, which is a true thing. Hold on one second. I'm gonna disconnect, and I think it's time for me to buy new headphones, because
then they get that inflated ego. That's why a woman who maybe blossomed a little older,
right,
is better, because they weren't looked at like a treated princess the whole life, so they don't have that whole manipulative attitude.
Yeah, you kind of want an ugly duckling that blossomed in her late 20s and never got the attention as a high school and college girl, and all of a sudden it was easy to slide in there, you know what I mean? Or a divorced woman who's in her early 30s or so, who fell in love with her high school sweetheart, and they got married and did their thing, and then that didn't really turn into anything. Yeah. And now she's as some would say, damaged goods. Which is a terrible thing to say. I don't mean it that way. Listen, girls, before you get all fucking uppity, I'm joking around here. But you have a couple kids, you're not able to go to the bar on a Friday night very accessible, right? But they're still good looking, they're still cool, they're still people change. People aren't the same they were when they're in their early 20s, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you could move in and be like the white knight, if you will,
But women have this manipulation factor that's
I said, I think
sometimes they don't realize they're doing it. I remember something happened to you, and I pointed it out to you. And again, to your wife's credit, she might not have intentionally done this to be, but I think it was again one of those subconscious things. It was something you wanted.
Yeah.
You got something as a gift, remember? And then I said to you, "Oh, so she got you that so she got you to do that work." right? And you were like, I never thought of it like that, because it was like a tool or something like that as a present, and I'm like, oh wow, so she got you something as a gift, but it's something that's going to make something else get done around the house.
It could happen. I mean, it's true.
Right,
which
but I don't think
fine.
she was any malicious intention behind it. But it's things like that I think that sometimes they do intentionally.
Girls do that all the time, though. You know what I mean?
That's don't catch on to,
right.
You know, because they're blinded by the pussy.
Right.
You know.
Like, I mean, how many guys get blown by? How many girls blow these ugly old guys just so they get a few extra cash bucks, right? They don't have to work and stuff. Like, I mean, we were talking about Anna Nicole Smith right earlier today at work, and about how she married some like rich millionaire guy. Do you think she was attracted to this guy? Come on. I mean,
not at all.
Come on, yeah. It's like, come on, like let's be real, right? Let's get on the same page here. Like it's not happening. You're not attracted to this guy. You know, why would you be a hot looking 20-something-year-old be attracted to an 80-something-year-old guy whose dick probably doesn't work as efficiently as it did once before? You know, I mean, he's not. I mean, have you ever seen we've all seen Hangover? That scene when the old guy is in the hospital and he's naked, and there's all this extra stuff going on here. Like, come on, be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather a girl go to my face and be like, yes, I'm banging that guy because he's a millionaire. I'm not attracted to him. I'll do what I have to do to get money because I'm hoping he's dying soon. And I would have more respect for the girl that just came out and just admitted it. And I'd be like, okay, hey, listen, it's kind of sucky, but like, hey, if he can't figure that out, then shame on him. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
interesting statistic from prostitutionprocon.org.
Okay.
Right?
That's an interesting website.
Apparently.
Like it's a .org, like it's an organization.
I'll look at there are approximately look at male prostitution. I'm just looking at male prostitution versus female prostitution.
Okay.
And the needs. A look at male male prostitution statistics show that of the 40 to 42 million prostitutes in the world, 8 to 8.42. That's it. Are thought to be men.
Right. Because and they're probably maybe gay men or something like that too. They're probably not. There's no woman in the world who's paying for sex, because all a woman has to do to get laid is show up at any bar or any restaurant or any club in the entire country, sit there, smile at a guy that she's even a bit attracted to, and she could get laid.
The only niche would probably be rich old ladies.
Right. And I think even they could even, I mean, listen, any port in a storm, guys. If there's a fucking old lady sitting at the bar, it's 2:00 in the morning, and she's showing you a glimmer of attention. I mean, I'm sorry. You could tell me you won't, but there's guys out there that will, and just do it just for either the story. I mean, some people have been with monsters before, like people that you wouldn't even tell your friend. Right.
All gone to Ben with the lagoon creature.
I mean, it happens.
A pound sand.
So I think I think a 90-year-old woman, and I would love to conduct this experiment with like an older woman who's like ready to get down for the nasty, and like take her to a bar and just be like, all right, I know it's way past your bedtime and the happy hour and the but like, listen, I think if you sat there long enough, you could get laid tonight if you really wanted to by any dude. It could be even the bartender. Who knows? Maybe he's a little frisky and he's like, I never done this before. I told you about that that story I heard about the fucking club and like the old lady and the guy with the camcorder.
Yes, you've told me that a couple times, and I still think of it.
So I mean, it's possible.
And it's grossed out. Yeah, it's just.
It was a disturbing story, but it happened, and it happened. So I don't care how old you are, ladies out there. You have the golden ticket, no matter how old you are. If you want it, you can get it. Guys, on the other hand, have to pay for it. And I think guys pay for it, on the other hand, because they're lazy.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know what I mean? Like, do you really want to put in a night's worth of work and an X amount of money on drinks to maybe get something out of it, right? It's not a sure thing, right? Even if you meet someone on Tinder or something of that nature, right? It's not a sure thing. A lot of them, like, I mean, every once in a while, you get some broad who's like, yeah, just come over and boom, boom. Thank you, man. See you later. But
you can try to be bold and have some ball. Like, it had worked once for me where I like flipped the script and I asked a girl to buy me a drink. She didn't understand. She was like, "What the fuck?"
That's interesting.
Like,
that's an interesting maneuver.
It's worked like 1 out of like 5 times, but like it worked. So it's like I didn't pay for anything that night.
That would be an interesting way to go into it, especially if maybe she made more money than you knew that. Be like, hey, that's actually that's a good experiment. You go on they have a girl we just met, and be like, listen, because I think most girls, maybe not most girls. I think a good half the girls maybe when they go on a first date, they would always offer, right? I think most girls will offer, hey, do you want me to pick up at least half or something like that or like that. There's very few girls that will pick up the whole tab, and there's a decent amount of girls who expect you to pay. Now, I think more guys are attracted to a girl that offers to pay, even if they have no intentions to. They just like at least make the offer. I think most guys are like, no, don't worry about it, because they feel like, that's nice of them. I think the girls who are kind of entitled and think they're just gonna get it paid for, kind of a turn off, because if that's the way you are in your first date, that should be a red flag of how you're gonna be for the rest of your relationship.
Exactly. We're supposed to be equals now.
Right.
Remember, women want equal rights. So yeah, we should be splitting that shit.
Except in swimming in college, I guess, because you can be a dude with a dick and call yourself a girl and then break all the records.
That's true.
It is what it is. We're not making anything up here. That's the truth. But yeah, exactly. I think guys have a little bit more respect for girls who are who at least make the effort, right? Maybe it's not intended. Maybe they're making the effort knowing that the guys are going to say no, but at least it feels a little bit better at the end of the day. It's like, well, at least they made an effort, right? They don't expect the world to be on their fingers, because that's a red flag right there. If you have a girl and she expects everything to be paid for all the time, yeah, you're in trouble, brother.
It's true.
You better get a third job. I dated a girl like that back, the crazy Connecticut chick back in the day and I was piss poor broke. I was a college kid working 20 hours a week at a sneaker store. But everywhere we went, like we went to a road trip to Florida, and it was discussed prior to the trip that we were just going to split stuff. Hey, we just split the gas, split the hotel. And at the end of the day, I ended up paying for the entire fucking endeavor. And I didn't have a pot to piss in. I could barely, I had astronomical credit card debt at 20 years old with it was not in a very good financial situation where I could be Mr. Hey, it's on me. I'll take care of this trip, right? No way, shape, or form, right? But this is what she expected, because this is what some girls think, and I find that girls like that don't have a prolonged relationship unless they marry or date a weak man who has no backbone. You know those people, right? Little twinks with like the glasses and like, I'll do anything she says. Oh, she's my yeah. It's like, oh, bro. You're about 10 years away from a divorce that she's gonna be paying her for the rest of her life. She's gonna divorce you, get alimony, and purposely not marry another guy so that she could still get your alimony. She'll meet some schmuck at some bar and be like, we can't legally get married because once I get married, the alimony stops. So we're just gonna have a long-term live-in relationship, and I'm still gonna get the alimony. That's just fucked. But it happens every fucking day.
It's true. Several years ago, I dated this girl who was she was Jewish, but the thing is that we went on this date, and the date was just about over, and the check came, and I said to her, I was like, "Wow, not even a flinch, huh?" Because she didn't even flinch. I'm like, "Oh, so I'm paying for this." She's like, "It's the first date. You should." Right. And then so immediately I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm never dating this person again.
Right.
And then you know what I said? I said, oh, there's the Jew. Right. And then she laughed. Right. She laughed. She wasn't offended at all. She thought it was hilarious. So I was like, all right. So and she's like, if we go out again, I'll pay for that. And I'm like, okay. So she just felt the first date, the guy should have to pay for, right? But after that, it's like more of a share thing, right? That's how she felt, right? And the fact that she laughed when I made that comment, that could have gone really wrong. You know what I mean? Like when I said that, but she laughed and thought it was genuinely funny. And so we saw each other a few times after that too. But like I just it worked. But that was a very rare case.
You made a bold move there. I mean, that could have been
a very bold move.
But I mean, I don't know. I have a good respect for girls that make an effort. Like I think that's I listen, I'm not a anti-woman thing. I think girls are equal. I mean, my wife makes more money than me. Like it happens and sometimes, right? It's like,
Yeah, who cares?
and I don't give there's a lot of women that do a job very well out there. And they just do it better. There's a percentage of women who really don't do it better, but they've gotten the job for other reasons, affirmative action reasons, because they got whatever, and probably don't deserve the job, but needed to hit a quota kind of thing. But that's a small percentage. But I think most women have a job. They do pretty good, and it's better than men at sometimes. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm an equal opportunity employer. You know what I mean? Like I'm an equal up. When back in the day, in my dating days, I was an equal opportunity dater. Like I didn't give a shit if you were black, Asian, white. I didn't care. You were a cute girl, wanted to have a good time.
That doesn't exist in our office.
We just need more women in our office. There's a reason there's not many women in our office. I'll put it that way, because that would be an issue. Because there's a lot of conversations we have that we'd have to tune down a tad.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which but I guarantee if for some reason a really attractive young girl was hired, you would see a 180-degree change on everyone's personality in the office.
I would hate it. I've learned to shut that off. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna be me, and I hate that everybody around me I can see acting different.
But it would happen though.
It does happen.
Yeah.
When the other one is in our office, I get annoyed. I barely speak when she's there because like I notice everybody. Everybody talks differently. And I'm like, why are you all being different? It's like the Eric Powers, like, why are you being this like night person?
White knight.
Who cares? Be you. You're being fake. I'm always like, in my head, I'm like, you're being fake. Like, this isn't the real you.
Being like, yeah, no, I agree. Being real is sometimes you're either my own worst enemy or my best attribute. Because at the end of the day, if you're just yourself, you could offend someone. And I'm on the line of, hey, I'm sorry I offended you if something I said, if that you took that the wrong way, I didn't mean it to be mean. You know what I mean? I meant it usually to be kidding around. I rarely ever say things that I'm just like mean about, right?
True. I'm trying to think though. I've never seen you say anything really out of line to something, but I've never seen you apologize to somebody either.
No, I don't like apologize. Yeah, I've never. Yeah, I have in the past, especially people I work with that like say the restaurant.
Yeah.
That they might have got offended, and maybe they should have been offended. Most of the time, it's like kind of like weird, like why you offended. I just kind of do it to save face. I'm like, yeah, listen, sorry. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's easy just to apologize and just fucking bury it and just call it a day, then have it linger on. Yeah, I don't really.
You're amped up in the morning. You're kind of different in the morning. You get amped up in the morning. Sometimes your energy.
I think it's the traffic.
Yeah. You call like Monday, you came in hot. I was talking like, why are you yelling? You're like, why are you yelling?
I think it's sitting on the Tobin Bridge in dead traffic for like 25 minutes that burns my soul.
I can understand that.
That's my wife too, because I got to work this morning and then she texted me. She goes, "Is there a problem on the Tobin Bridge? Why am I still in Revere right now?" I go, "Oh yeah, because the bus lane you have, no one can use, and then the left lane there's a state trooper blocking it because there's a car accident. So rush hour traffic has one lane of traffic coming from the North Shore into Boston, and it's one of its major arteries." And she goes, "Oh, okay." So yes, it enrages people to the point where like I get out, like I'll like the time the other day when I said I wanted to drive over the guy on the scooter.
Yeah.
Like you should see me on was that Chelsea Street in the morning when I'm blowing through lights. I'll blow through red lights. I'll pass people. I'll fucking tailgate people. I'm a fucking maniac.
Yeah, you're not engageable in the morning sometimes, but that's understandable considering that, and you also have a kid who doesn't understand Wi-Fi connections. That would drive me insane.
Yeah. Yesterday, between all day yesterday, I had internet in my house. But I didn't have the Wi-Fi. It didn't work. So I couldn't control my lights, my alarm system, my cameras, my thermostat, my kid's iPad. And first of all, it's not even a real iPad. It's a stupid Amazon thing we got them for like $100 that has like, it's like Amazon Prime on like a pad, right? It's almost like what do people read? What are those things called?
Kindles?
It's like a Kindle. It's a Kindle for a kid, basically, right? Yeah. So it's this piece of shit, has color, but it's like, it's garbage. It takes forever to load shit. And it's very, very particular. My 2-year-old can navigate through it with no problem and find new shows to watch, which I'm pretty impressed. But all right. So the other day he goes to me and he brings it up to me and he goes, It's like this, and I'm like, what's the problem? Like, what do you want? I mean, pick a show. He's like, this, and then you get the spinning ball of death.
I always call that a sperm chasing its tail.
Yeah, and
That's
I go, uh-oh. And I'm looking at this, there's no connection. I go, all right, give me a second. Let me see if I can get this thing going. It takes like forever to get into, you have to get out of the kids profile. You have to get into the adult profile. That takes like 5-10 minutes. And once you're in the adult profile, you can go through the network selection, and figure out the network. And at this point, I'm seeing my security cameras are just flashing because they're not connected. And then in my thermostat, I can't control my phone. That's flashing, and all hell's breaking loose. And he's screaming and yelling because he can't watch Blippi on his fucking Amazon tablet. And I'm trying to compromise with him. We give him the other tablet that has like movies downloaded on there. I'm like, well, why don't you watch this movie? You like toys, Toy Story? We like Luca? Like, watch this movie. And he doesn't want to. Blippi. I mean, not getting Blippi tonight, kid. I'm sorry. There's no Blippi tonight. The Blippi's off. Screaming. So a 2-year-old doesn't understand Wi-Fi. But yeah, so that was the nightmare I was going on. We almost didn't have the show tonight. We didn't get the internet back in the house until about 2:00 this afternoon. I was like, this is really going to be the situation. Fucking crazy.
But Daddy, why?
Yeah, why?
Why?
Because God hates me right now and wants me to torture. I did something to him that pissed him off, and he just wants me to have 24 hours of torture. This is why you can't watch Blippi on an iPad. This is exactly why. It's like, I have no explanation for you. Why? Why do I only have 3 movies to choose from on my iPad that's in your car? Well, that's because this iPad's 12 years old and it has, 8 gigabytes of storage. Each movie is about 2 gigabytes. So I could only put 3 on there. So I picked your top 3 greatest hits. I'm a guy who's almost 38 years old who watches 5 movies that and these movies came out 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I watched
Big Lebowski.
Yep.
See how good you are. That? Hold on, don't tell me. Don't fucking that wine movie.
I'll give it to you. Sideways.
Yeah, Sideways. Yeah.
All right. There's 2.
Those are the 2 I'd give you. The other 3, I'm actually not sure.
Just think about your kind of gangster stuff. The movies I quote a lot.
I don't know. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Goodfellas. That's 3.
I'm kind of throwing the obvious hits out there.
The other movie has the same characters in Goodfellas in it.
I mean, that's 3 of them. Oh God. So
it's a very long movie, but it's good.
I mean, I can name it. Like, is De Niro in it?
Yep.
So is it Godfather?
Nope. One of my favorite cities in the world. It takes place.
Horrible. I'm horrible.
Casino.
Just tell me.
Casino.
We're getting into the show. Casino. Yes. Fuck, you're right. I should have got that.
The 5th movie, I don't know if you're gonna get, but it has George Clooney in it, and it has who's that cute girl who's in like the singing movies, and she's from New Hampshire.
Who is the other person?
Anna. What the hell's her name? Anna something.
Not Anna Paquin.
Yeah. Yeah. She's the cute girl from. Is that her? Her and George.
Are you talking about Anna Kendrick?
Kendrick, yes. Her and
wait, hold on.
It's my favorite movie.
Wait, don't. I can see it. It involves flying.
It does. Yes, it does. You just said the name of the movie. Kinda.
Airport.
Almost.
Fly. I know the fucking movie though, and it's gonna bother me. I'm not Googling it. I can get this. It's on the tip of my fucking tongue. It's not Robert Clayton.
Nope.
It's not the Clayton movie.
No, you said a tense of the word you just said.
Flying.
Yep, there's a tense of that. Like picture a tense, like a past tense, or a current tense. I guess you'd say.
Fuck it. I don't want to waste more time.
Flight.
Just tell me. What is it?
Flight.
No.
No. I'm sorry. No. Up in the air.
Up in the air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Up in the air. So those are my top 5, and then 6 and 7. 6 and 7 would be the movie Flight with Denzel. I like that movie a lot.
That's a good movie.
And Cedar Rapids with
That's not, really. I don't mind that movie.
I love that movie.
That would never be in my top 10. It's a great movie.
It's actually Cedar Rapids is actually downloaded on all my devices that I watch when I fly a lot. Like it's a nice movie to watch. I enjoy that movie.
Yeah, that dude the Helms guy.
Yes, Ed Helms.
From The Hangover. Yes,
I actually found that movie by mistake. When I was going through my kicks where to go see movies all the time, like once a week. That happened to be a movie that was showing at Showcase at the time. So I'm like, I'll check it out. I kind of read the synopsis of a comedy. Ed Helms was in it, and I watched it. I was like, this is a fucking good movie. It has it's very enjoyable. So those are my top 7 movies.
Yeah, so. He's like I haven't seen that one. He's like a salesman,
insurance salesman. Yes,
in a shitty hotel.
And Sigourney Weaver's in it. Sigourney Weaver's is like high school teacher that he's banging currently, and then he gets sent to Cedar Rapids for an insurance convention. And he finds out that the only reason his company was winning the award every year was because the guy who used to go, who died jerking off with a thing around his neck, was
that's right. Yeah.
He was paying off the people to win the award. And then he meets the guy from Step Brothers, not Will Ferrell, the other guy.
Seymour Hoffman.
What the hell's his name?
Not Seymour Hoffman.
No,
John C. Reilly.
Yes,
Reilly?
He meets him there, and everyone's telling him to stay away from him because he's like a lunatic. But he ends up being his like best friend and like actually the only cool guy there.
Oh, and Hayes is in there.
And Hayes, yes. Who's he ends up like getting naked with her in the pool and stuff. She's like a wild girl and stuff. It's a good movie. Cedar Rapids. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's like a low budget like indie-ish film with like some B celebrities in it. That's really entertaining.
It's good too because it's like it's about an hour and a half, so it's like the perfect amount of time any comedy should be too.
Right, and it has some
don't overdo it.
Has some funny jokes in it and stuff, and it has like kind of this is a hooker that works. It's some good stuff. If you like sleazy hotels in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, check it out. Well, that's the show. We did that pretty good.
Yeah, we blew right through that shit.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so next week we have a guest coming on. I'm going to give a little sneak peek here. Look at the calendar here. Where are we? So we are the 3rd. Next week we have comedian Emily Page will be joining us on the 10th of March, next Thursday. And then we're taking a 2-week hiatus because the next Thursday, St. Patty's Day, I'm away, and then the Thursday after that, I'm away. So we'll be back at the end of the month, which we have a guest scheduled. So Emily Page, comedian from New York, will be joining us. I think she's from New York, joining us next week. And then we take a couple weeks off, and then we'll continue back on this.
And we're back.
Better than ever. Anything you plugging, sir?
No, I mean, unless you want to hear me talk about trade analysis, but that's it, and crypto and all that stuff. But no, I'm a bit of hiatus for a while, probably till close to summer. But hey, you can always check out my channel if you want to subscribe because I will be back at some point.
Are you doing like a trade analysis podcast?
No.
Oh.
No, because that would require still some editing.
I was going to say,
I'm talking about on this show. If you want to talk about trade and ways to make money in other ways, I mean, I could do that, but it might bore some people.
Yeah, some people like it. Maybe they don't. Who knows? To each one's own, I always say. So there you go. Cool.
Yeah,
and you always get me.
That's where all my time is right now.
And you can follow me on the Wicked Explorers and, of course, the Arty 84 show on all the avenues in which it comes with. So until next week, we'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye, motherfuckers. All right. Let's say bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
See you guys later.
Later.
All right.